I woke up to the vibration of my phone at 4:03 a.m., still half asleep. I fumbled for it on the nightstand, rubbing the blur from my eyes. One unread message glared back at me. It was from my wife, Anna. "I'm at a hotel with my ex. Come and pick me up." My chest tightened. At first, I thought it had to be some kind of sick joke. Maybe a wrong number, but it wasn't. The name on the screen was hers, clear as day. My wife, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone. The room suddenly felt colder, the silence pressing down on me like a weight. My pulse hammered, as if my body already knew the truth my mind wasn't ready to accept. I sat there staring at those words, reading them over and over, trying to make them mean something else, anything else. But they didn't. The drive. I threw on jeans and a hoodie, grabbed my keys, and walked out the door in a haze. The streets were eerily quiet, bathed in the yellow glow of streetlights. Every turn of the wheel was heavy, my thoughts screaming louder than the hum of the engine. Why would she send that? Why would she even be there? A part of me wanted to believe she'd made a mistake, that she'd had too much to drink, that she'd gone to the wrong place with the wrong people. But deep down, I knew people don't just end up in hotels with their ex by accident. By the time I pulled into the parking lot of the cheap roadside hotel she had dropped a pin for, my hands were trembling on the steering wheel. The encounter. Anna stood outside the entrance, arms wrapped around herself against the early morning chill. Her hair was messy, her makeup smudged. She looked small, guilty. She saw my car and walked toward it quickly, sliding into the passenger seat without saying a word. For a moment, the silence between us was unbearable. Finally, I asked, my voice hoarse, why she swallowed hard, staring at her lap. It was a mistake. I laughed bitterly, the sound sharp in the still air. A mistake. You text me at 4 a.m. from a hotel with your ex, and all you have to say is, it was a mistake. Tears welled in her eyes, but I couldn't find sympathy. Not now. I don't even know why I went, she stammered. He messaged me a few days ago, and I thought I was over it. I thought I just wanted closure. Closure. Snap. Closure doesn't happen in a hotel. Bed at 4 a.m. Her face crumpled, but I couldn't stop. The words poured out sharp and unforgiving. How long? How many times? This was the first time? She whispered, barely audible. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to, but trust doesn't survive text messages like that. The long ride home, the drive back, was suffocating. She sat, turned toward the window, crying softly while I stared straight ahead, gripping the wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. Finally, she said, "Please don't give up on us." "I don't love him. I love you." I barked out a humorless laugh. "You love me. Is that what love looks like to you? Sneaking off in the middle of the night, crawling back, smelling like someone else?" Her sobs grew louder, but my heart had already turned to stone. The aftermath. When we got home, I didn't speak. I went straight to the guest room and shut the door. She tried to follow, pleading, but I couldn't hear her anymore. Not that night. The next morning, reality hit like a hammer. Seeing her moving around the kitchen, pretending things could go back to normal, was unbearable. "Anna," I said, breaking the silence, "I want the truth. If you lie to me now, we're done." She froze, then nodded. She admitted they had been texting for weeks. That at first, it was innocent, just catching up. Then the conversations grew more personal. She hadn't told me because she didn't want to upset me. Then last night he suggested meeting up. She went and told herself it was harmless. But one drink turned into two, one touch turned into more. She swore she stopped before it went all the way. But her eyes told me enough. "You still made a choice," I said quietly. "Every step of the way you chose him." The spiral. Days passed like a blur. I went to work, but my mind wasn't there. At night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying her words. That text, her face in the hotel parking lot. She tried to make amends, cooking my favorite meals, leaving notes on my desk, sending long texts about how sorry she was, but none of it mattered. Apologies don't erase betrayal. The worst part was the trust, or rather, the absence of it. I couldn't look at her without wondering if she was lying. Every time her phone buzzed, my stomach dropped. Every time she stepped outside to take a call, I felt sick. I had become someone I didn't recognize. Paranoid, suspicious, hollowed out. The breaking point. One evening, about 2 weeks after the hotel incident, she tried again. She sat across from me at the dinner table, hands clasped. "Can't we start over?" she asked softly. "We've built so much together." I made a mistake. "Yes, but can't we fight for us?" I stared at her. The woman I had once believed was my forever. "You want me to fight?" I said slowly. "But you didn't. You had the chance to fight for us the moment he messaged you. You had the chance when you agreed to meet. When you got dressed, when you drove there, when you walked into that hotel, you had 100 chances to fight for us. And every time you chose him," her eyes filled again. "But I couldn't stop. I don't know how to love someone I can't trust. And right now, I can't trust you." The silence that followed was deafening. The decision. That night, I drafted divorce papers. I didn't tell her right away, but the act of putting it on paper felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. When I finally handed them to her a week later, she broke, collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. "I thought you'd forgive me," she whispered. I shook my head. My voice was calm, almost detached. "Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, and I'll never forget that text. Ever," she begged, promised therapy, pleaded for one more chance. But I was done. Months have passed since then. The papers went through. The house is quieter, and some nights are lonelier than I'd like to admit. But I'm free. Free from the paranoia, the late-night doubts, the gnawing fear that the person lying beside me was living a double life. Sometimes I still wake up at 4 a.m. heart racing, remembering that message. But now, instead of anger, I feel clarity. Her betrayal shattered me, yes, but it also rebuilt me. Stronger, wiser, less naive. And if there's one thing I know for certain, it's this. Love without trust isn't love at all.